actually think I'll start with a little introduction, just so everyone is on the same page. So, hey, I'm Lilith, I'm 25, and in July of 2022 I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. That means during that summer I had my first clinical flare-up, and that flare-up was actually that severe that I ended up in the ER. There I got hospitalized into the Department of Neurology, and within a week I had my MS diagnosis. Yeah, what happens next? You're sent home, you're told you'll be fine, and that's also how it's supposed to go. But obviously that's not the case for me. But back to the beginning. So it was July when I got my diagnosis and my flare-up treatment. Then already in August I started doing pills. I'm taking Tecfidera. Not sure if it's pronounced like that in English, but that's how I pronounce it in German. And honestly, it took me many weeks to recover from my first flare-up. Let's totally forget about the psychological problems that pop up after receiving a diagnosis like that. I'm seriously just talking about my physical well-being. And that took many weeks. I remember it was already sometime in October when I first started feeling okay again. Yeah, as I said, it was a very severe flare-up. But somewhere in October it started going uphill. And I actually started feeling better than I did the whole year before that. I actually started noticing a change in my physical well-being in the end of 2021. That's actually where everything started. I mean, I can't even explain what changed in the end of 2021. Just everything was just like slightly different. It was weird, it was very weird. I just felt weak actually most of the time, just super weak and exhausted with no real reason. Anyways, I mean, it climaxed into a flare-up in July. But I got my answers to the question, what is going on? Whatever. We're in October 2022 is when I started feeling okay again, when things started going uphill again. Then November was like perfectly fine. In November I felt better than the whole year before that. Same with December. But then on New Year's Eve, like late in the evening, I started noticing very subtle tingling in my feet. You know, a little like when you notice your feet are about to fall asleep. So you stand up quickly and you stomp on them to keep them from actually falling asleep. That weird tingling you feel then. That's the sensation I started noticing on New Year's Eve. And for some reason I didn't think anything of it then. Don't know. I noticed it, but I successfully ignored it. Next, this tingling started being more noticeable and started being kind of painful. And then, actually, the next thing I noticed, I don't know, 2 or 3 days later, was that my whole hip area is completely numb. It was actually while pulling up my pants, like taking on my pants, I noticed that I didn't feel the fabric like on my thighs and butt. Like not at all. I didn't feel my pants at all. that's also actually when I first started thinking, this is weird. Well, I then quickly realized that actually my whole legs are numb. And then within the next 1 or 2 days, my tummy and especially my back started going numb. So it's quite fascinating actually, because this weird anything, I don't know, started in my feet and it just slowly went up my body. Kind of interesting actually. Anyway, so I guess it was around January 5th when I started Googling. That's when I started actually being kind of concerned, like Googling things like altered sensations, MS. Yeah, that's when I slowly started questioning if this is normal. And, well, all over Google it said flare-up. I then thought that can't be possible because my last flare-up wasn't even 6 months ago. But then the next day, which was of course Friday, I started noticing this tingling in my left hand. And I at first thought that I'm just imagining it because I read about it on Google. But I still then started asking other people who got MS about their opinions on my symptoms. And all of them advised me to call my neurologist. But, well, whatever, it was the weekend. On Sunday I was actually at work, which was my first normal day back at work since my first flare-up, so I didn't want to miss it. And you bet it was exhausting. But damn it, as I said, it was my first day back at work since I got my diagnosis. Didn't want to miss that. Not again. But anyway, yeah, exhausting. It was super exhausting. In the evening, this tingling in my feet was like very painful. My whole legs were numb. By then, my body, like up to my collarbones, was completely numb. And no, actually, numb and in some places like hypersensitive, like for example where my bra's at, which is very unfortunate. And the tingling in my left hand was like it got worse, so it was obviously real and not just imagined. And something new that started that evening was a weird but very intense pain in my chest that started that day. Then on Monday I thought I would just have to relax and then everything will magically go back to normal. Yeah, that wasn't the case. In the evening I started noticing something new. That's when the tingling started in my right hand. And that was actually the final straw. Funny as it is, like nothing in my whole body felt normal anymore. Everything was super strange, and I had this very intense pain in my chest that made it almost impossible for me to stand straight. But I ignored all of that, but once this tingling started in my right hand, I had enough. I mean, I'm an artist and right-handed, so my life would be over if my right hand doesn't work anymore. Anyway, so the next day, Tuesday, right after waking up, I called my neurologist. And that was January 10th, so it was day 10 of my symptoms. And yeah, I called them, and straight at 8 a.m. the next day I got an appointment with them. So yeah, Wednesday, 8 a.m. I was pretty much his first patient. Told him about my symptoms, like not even 5 minutes. Then he fumbled my feet and legs and back a little and just went like, okay, yep, that's a flare-up. And then I pretty much already had the infusion needle in my arm. And once again, the usual 3 days infusions weren't enough for me. I had to upgrade to the maximum of 5 days. Cortisone infusions, which is like the steroids they use in the US, for example. Don't know, in Germany we treat flares with cortisone. But I googled it, it works the exact same way, and I think even the side effects are very similar. And because I needed the maximum dose and then it maybe doesn't work that well, I can say today's the 23rd, it's almost a whole week after I last got my infusions, but everything's fine again. No altered sensations anymore. Everything's back to normal, and I'm very happy about it because I was really scared because it took so long to actually have any kind of improvement. I was really scared that some altered sensation would remain, but everything is fine. I'm completely, everything feels normal again, which is very good. And that also means this time I only needed 1 week to recover. Not like the first time where it took several months. Which is good. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's the story. I actually had my second flare-up within 6 months of my diagnosis. And even though I'm perfectly fine again, it's not good. In February, I'll get new MRIs. And then my doctor wants to get second opinions to find out if I maybe have a more aggressive form of MS than we originally thought. Because you usually don't have your second flare-up this shortly after the first. It is what it is, I guess. I'll keep you posted.